mentioned in my introduction the different interventions in EU initiatives that will be presented. We will start with a very short video intervention, which will be presented by Céline Tellier, who is Walloon Minister for Environment, Nature, Animal Welfare and Rural Renovation, which is about the Liège Declaration of the Belgian Presidency of the Council of the European Union. So I will ask Sarah to launch the video. Thank you, Sarah.
Bonjour et bienvenue à toutes et à tous au séminaire Good Practice Seminar Rural Communities Tackling Climate Change. Je m'appelle Céline Tellier, je suis ministre en charge de l'environnement, de la nature, de la ruralité, de la forêt et du bien-être animal pour la Wallonie, au sud de la Belgique. C'est un honneur pour moi d'introduire un événement comme celui-ci, un forum dont le but est d'explorer ensemble comment nos communautés rurales peuvent se positionner au cœur de la lutte contre le changement climatique. Pour introduire ce séminaire, je voudrais brièvement vous parler de la déclaration de Liège, adoptée en février dernier lors du sommet Climate Change Europe 2024 Wallonie. Cette déclaration, née de la collaboration entre acteurs non étatiques européens, souligne une réalité incontournable. Le changement climatique, la perte de biodiversité et la pollution de façon générale constituent une triple crise environnementale mondiale, exacerbant les inégalités et menaçant nos écosystèmes, notre économie et nos sociétés. La déclaration de Liège nous rappelle l'urgence d'adapter nos communautés et nos régions aux défis climatiques. Elle met en lumière l'importance cruciale de renforcer la résilience, non seulement face aux extrêmes climatiques, mais également pour maintenir l'essence même de notre vie quotidienne, notre nourriture, notre énergie, nos systèmes de soins de santé, notre économie, qui sont toutes et tous basée sur la nature et les services qu'elle nous rend. L'adaptation au changement climatique exige une action collective, ancrée dans la science et guidée par une vision à 360 degrés. Elle requiert l'engagement de tous les niveaux de gouvernance et de tous les secteurs de la société pour intégrer cette culture de prévention et de résilience. Cette déclaration appelle à une action urgente, accélérer la mise en œuvre des politiques d'adaptation, reconnaître aussi le coût de l'inaction en matière de climat et de nature, mettre en avant les co-bénéfices des solutions fondées sur la nature. Elle insiste sur l'importance d'une approche locale et régionale dirigée par et pour les communautés, soulignant que le succès des politiques d'adaptation repose sur une participation significative et démocratique. Aujourd'hui, alors que ce webinaire va permettre de partager et de multiplier les connaissances, les expériences, rappelons-nous également que notre objectif commun est de bâtir des communautés rurales robustes, capables de faire face aux défis du changement climatique. Inspirons-nous de la déclaration de Liège pour transformer nos discussions en actions concrètes pour le bien-être de nos communautés et de la planète. Je vous souhaite un séminaire enrichissant, rempli de découvertes et d'inspiration mutuelle. Merci pour votre attention.
Thank you very much to Céline Tellier for this very inspiring, I would say, introductory speech. Now we have 4 interventions. As I mentioned to all of you, you will have 5 minutes for your speech, and before the end, you will hear a short noise in case I have the feeling that you will take more time than planned. So sorry for that, but we have to manage the time. I don't know if Laura Maanavilja from the European Climate Pact from DG CLIMA is with us. Laura, in case it's not, I will give the floor.
Yes,
you are
I
there,
am.
Laura? Okay.
I am.
Good morning. Good morning. So I let you share your presentation. So you are from DG CLIMA. You are also working for several EU climate initiatives that you are going to present, among which the European Climate Pact. And thanks again for the collaboration to organize this event with Rural Pact supporters. You have the floor, Laura.
Great. Thank you, Pascal. I will try sharing my screen, and we will take it from there. So I'm sorry, but my internet connection strangely seems rather slow today, so I hope it will work. So I work in the climate action department of the Commission, and what I wanted to share with you today is an update on where we are on the climate policies, and also our initiative, the European Climate Pact, that Pascal already mentioned. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, but you have to go from the beginning. I mean, you have to display the full screen.
Voila. Okay. So where we are with EU climate action. As we know, climate change is here. This is the basis of our work on EU climate policies. This is an image from the latest Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change report from last year. And what I would like to highlight here is both the bad news and the good news. The bad news is that global warming is progressing very rapidly. We all know this. The good news is that if you look at the right-hand side of this graph, you see that depending on the actions that we take, we still have the power to influence how much the rise will be and how it will impact our society and economy. It's not going well. You might have seen these statistics and these graphs from the European Copernicus service, among others, that unfortunately regularly show that we have again broken new records. This one is the latest from February, which was the warmest month again. And of course, connected to the climate challenge, we have the other challenges like the global resource use. Here I have the example of the Earth Overshoot Day from last year, which is the date where we have in a way used up the resources that the Earth has to offer in a year, and basically we are using the resources faster than the Earth can provide them. The European response to this is, of course, the European Green Deal. You are aware of the different policy areas and strategies that are included in the Green Deal. I will focus on the climate part and a short update on where we are with the climate policies. You know that the overall goal at the European level is for the EU to reach climate neutrality by 2050. This is the long-term goal that is actually part of European law. The EU climate law sets this objective of the EU becoming climate neutral by 2050. This means that we have to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions as much as we can, and then we have to take better care of our carbon sinks and the absorption to make sure that we will reach the net zero goal. We have already made good progress since the past years and a couple of decades, and we know that this is possible, but it will not be a walk in the park. It will be a difficult challenge going ahead. But if we look at the progress that has been made in some sectors, for example, in the power sector, in the energy sector, also in the industry, we know that a lot of these reductions are possible, and we know that that there is a lot that we can do if we work in all sectors of the economy and together with all stakeholders. So 2050, it is in a way far away, but it's also very close. So we need to work with milestones that are part of this journey. We have the 2030 milestone as the first checkpoint. And for this checkpoint, we have put in place the different policies that are needed to get to the 2030 emissions reduction target. I think some of these will be more relevant for you working in the rural space than others. For example, the colleague from DG Agri already mentioned some of the initiatives related to issues like carbon farming, like land use, forestry. So that's part of this puzzle. So this is what we have been busy with for the last couple of years. We call it the Fit for 55 package, and this has basically been a very comprehensive update of EU climate and energy legislation. This has touched on issues like land use, for example, but also transport, mobility, industry, emissions trading, where we regulate greenhouse gas emissions from industry and the power sector. Of course, energy as a very important component. How do we promote further increasing renewable energy? How do we make the EU more energy efficient? How do we make our transport infrastructure ready for more electric vehicles and so on? So this is a big package of legislation that has now been completed. And the challenge now is to implement all of this. So this will of course need to happen at all levels. We still continue the work at the EU level. The member states have a very important role because as part of the 2030 initiatives, they have to prepare their national energy and climate plans. They have prepared these plans already, but there is an update and revision going on, and the next deadline for member states to put in their updated national energy and climate plans is by the end of June. So I encourage you to look a bit into it and to see what is happening in your country and what the plans are there. And of course, a very important role will also be for regional and local authorities, because in the end, a lot of what will need to happen at the very local level, whether it's about transport, mobility, whether it's about how we build our cities and towns, whether it's about how we use the land. So, so the action at local and regional level is very important. Now, of course, in parallel of working on all these very practical developments to reach the 2030 goals, we already need to look at the next milestones. What we did very recently, last month, is that the Commission published in-depth analysis on what will need to be the next steps and what is the path that we are on, what are the alternative paths to move towards the 2050 climate neutrality goal. So this is a large piece of analysis and insight, and based on that we proposed our recommendation for what should be the EU's 2040 climate target, which is a reduction of 90% compared to 1990 levels. So this is quite ambitious, but it's actually part of the pathway that has already been defined with our 2030 and 2050 goals. What we now want to do is to discuss this with all stakeholders and look at, okay, what needs to be done next? We know the legislation that is stable for the next years. What needs to happen after that? How can we make this happen? What do we need to work on to make the changes easier and to really reap on the opportunities for the longer term? So this is an invitation to you as well to take part in this discussion on the road ahead. The other component, of course, in addition to reducing emissions, and that was also very nicely highlighted in the Slido poll earlier, is that the impacts are already here. Just last week, the European Environment Agency published their first ever European climate risk assessment. So this is the first very comprehensive assessment that looks at the risks from climate change, but also how those risks are connected to other risks and challenges for our energy system, for our infrastructure, for our water resources, which I see is a very important issue for you, and also for people's health, for our infrastructure, also for issues like finance, insurance, and so on. So this is an important piece of analysis that will really impact the way that we will work going forward in terms of making sure that Europe can get better prepared, more resilient, and that we can really speed up the actions that are needed. Because what we see is that a lot of the solutions are already there, but we need to scale up their use. We need to really make sure that that we connect also those solutions, so that, for example, changes that are made in one area don't make the situation more difficult in another area, or that every piece of the puzzle is taken care of. Because a lot of times, for example, a climate related say extreme weather event or other types of disaster, it might touch on another sector, but the reasons might actually come from another area. So this is an area where we really need to work closely together. So just a couple of days after this climate risk assessment came out, the Commission published from our part the first reaction, which is a Commission communication on managing climate risks. And in this communication, we explain a little bit how we see these risks and how we see the way forward for action. So there are a few suggestions in terms of, for example, tools, how we can better use tools like the Copernicus monitoring, how we can better connect the different levels of planning and decision making from the local authorities to the European level, how we can better build capacity also in smaller municipalities or in the analysis space on understanding these issues and what we can do about them. So there are many opportunities that are out there. There are also the different EU initiatives that are designed to help different actors in this. So for example, for municipalities, there's of course the Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy that is quite a well-established network. There's also the EU mission on adaptation to climate change. The other mission of some of the other missions were already mentioned, for example, the EU mission on soil. But the adaptation mission focuses specifically on action at the regional level and in at the local level on adaptation to climate change. So these are some opportunities for you all to get engaged and look at what those initiatives have to offer. Then another important topic that also came out very nicely in one of the polls earlier is that we need to make sure that we work very closely with the citizens and with the local communities in making this happen. And for this part, as part of the Green Deal, we have launched the European Climate Pact. So this is our initiative for engaging with citizens and civil society on climate issues and helping them network among each other and share good ideas, share good practices, and work together to really go to the communities, go to the people, talk about what climate change means, what the climate impacts mean, what we can do about them, and try to work together on the solutions and on understanding the issues and what can be done. So we have different types of activities, and my colleague Betsy will also join one of the breakout sessions later to present them in more detail. But we have a very nice network of Climate Pact ambassadors who are volunteers talking and doing for the climate in all EU countries. So you might find somebody near you. We are also partnering with organizations who are committed to climate action, and we are developing tools and resources that these people and organizations can use in this work. For example, we have a set of citizen engagement tools that are relatively simple tools that anybody can use to go and start a climate activity or start a climate discussion in the local community. So
Laura, can I ask you to try to end? Thank
this
you.
is it. So this is actually what I wanted to say. So thanks a lot for having the opportunity to present this and share this with you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Laura. And as you mentioned, Betsy, your colleague can also complete during the breakout session, which will be the first breakout session. Thank you very much. Without waiting, I will give the floor to Angela Olcina Sala, who will present the Just Transition Platform and the Cohesion for Transitions from DG REGIO. And as agreed, we are going to share your presentation, if I'm right.
Yes, thank you,
So
Pascal.
Sarah, if you can display the presentation, and Angela, you ask my colleague Sarah when you want to move from one slide to another. And as for the previous speaker, we are going to send an alert when we have to try to finish the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And hello, everyone. My name is Angela Olcina Sala. I work in DG REGIO in Unit G1. It's the Unit Smart and Sustainable Growth. And in the team of Sustainable Growth, we are overseeing the investments done in cohesion policy on policy objective 2, which is the one that covers the whole green transition. And for these investments, we launched two platforms, two initiatives, the Just Transition Platform and the Cohesion for Transitions Committee of Practice, to support the good implementation and the achievement of the objectives in all territories. So I would like to start with the Just Transition Platform. This platform is aimed at achieving a just transition in the territories and to implement the Just Transition Mechanism and the Just Transition Fund. So the territories eligible to get assistance from the platform are the Just Transition Fund territories, the ones that are covered by the fund. So these territories are the ones that demonstrated to be the most affected by the transition to climate neutrality, and those territories that are coal dependent or have very heavy carbon intensive industries. So with these activities that you can see on the screen, what we want is to alleviate the socioeconomic impacts of the transition and to implement the funds. So we don't make a distinction between rural or urban. We, as you can see in the website of the platform, what territories are covered, but what is true is that most of them are formed by a large amount of rural areas. And what we can do here is to support the just transition and to address some of the some of the activities or some of the challenges that can be found in the context of rural areas, such as, for example, depopulation, geographical disparity, or attracting younger generations. So we aim to cover all these challenges that are of the just transition and that can be more, let's say, heavier or more persistent in the context of rural areas. And if you go to the next slide, the second initiative that we wanted to present is the C4T Community of Practice. And this is a platform that aims at the implementation of sustainability transitions with the policy of with cohesion policy under the policy objective number 2. So here it's more aimed at the managing authorities dealing with the ERDF or the cohesion fund, and we want to support them to unlock the investments and to overcome the challenges that they are facing with the implementation of these specific objectives in cohesion policy. So as well, you can see in the screen the different activities that we have, and it's also pertinent to say that we can support some of the challenges or some of the activities, actions that can be crucial for the rural context, such as, for example, climate adaptation that we have already mentioned here, or water management that was present in the Slido poll. So here as well, we aim at different contexts, but we can provide support for the implementation of the investments that are most necessary at the context of the rural areas. So these both initiatives, they're very focused at the implementation of the investments. But for example, on the Just Transition platform, we also work with different associations, with different stakeholders, NGOs, agencies that are working on the Just Transition in the territories. So I invite you to take a look at these two initiatives and to contact us if you think that we can provide support to the challenges that you're facing in your areas. Yes, we are now organizing the Just Transition Platform conference next month, sorry, and we also have a Cohesion for Transitions conference in June. So I will share in the chat the links to these events and to the web pages, so you can take a look at the two initiatives and see if you are interested, and you can think that we can support you for the challenges in climate change in the rural areas. So yeah, that was it. Thank you very much, and yeah, you have my contact there, and I think I'm on time, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Angela. Very, very interesting initiatives, and thank you to our colleagues from DG REGIO to have been able to put, you know, the linkages between the Rural Support Office and your initiative, so we can learn about it. I take the opportunity to tell everybody that all the presentations will be shared after the event, and also thank you to Angela to put any links which you think relevant for the participants. I invite anyone to do the same. So thank you, Angela. So without waiting, I'm giving the floor to Carolina Perpiña Castillo, who will share the screen to present the main, I would say, outcomes of this study on the renewable energy production and potential in rural areas, in EU rural areas, that has been implemented by the GRC, Joint Research Center. So I give you the floor for 5 minutes as well. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I will try to share the screen quickly and let's see if you can see it in a full screen. Okay, I think it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this work has been performed in the unit B3 territorial development unit, also in collaboration with other units at the ERC, expert on energy, which has supported us in this study. So the name is the name of this study, and the report is Renewable Energy Production and Potential in EU Rural Areas. You can download this report from this link. It was published last January 2024. And here you have all the authors and co-authors that we have participated in this report. This work was under the framework of the Rural Observatory, and it has been done with the collaboration of DG Agri and DG REGIO, and also our colleague, our graphical designer, Laura Espiritu, in our team. So the aim of this study is provide an assessment, a quantitative assessment in this case, of renewable energies in the rural areas, focused mainly on solar, onshore wind, and hydropower energy sources. So what we are exploring when we explore in this report is the current contribution, so the current production of energy in rural areas, and also the technical potential production that is still untapped. So how many technical potential can be explored in the future, no? Installing new renewable energy infrastructure. Beyond this, this report also provides an overview of the concept of energy communities, and from a practical perspective, using or providing 5 case studies in this case. So at European level, initially, I will give to provide you some figures. Now, for the production, according to our analysis, we have in 2023, we have estimated EU's electricity production around 1,000 terawatt hour. So in this case, comparing with the technical potential, there is a vast untapped potential to explode in Europe. So it can reach, putting together solar, onshore wind, and hydropower, to more than 12,000 terawatts per year. So this means more than 5 times the electricity consumed in 2021. 78% of this untapped potential is located in rural areas. So as we can see on the right, solar production currently is around 2,050 terawatts per year, 11,000 terawatts. So this means 40 times more than what we are producing currently potentially. For onshore wind, we have these numbers, these figures here, which is 4 times more. And for hydropower, comparing the production with the potential, we can even exploit a little bit more, 35% more. For the hydropower, we are not going to use more extra land as compared with wind or solar, that they need take land for the development of these installations. And we are going to use the current hydropower fleet in Europe. So in numbers, what is happening today is that rural areas produce 72% of the combined solar, wind, and hydropower. And here we have also the countries that are producing more electricity, more energy, renewable energy, which is Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Sweden, Austria, and so on. But in the future, also rural areas are the ones that can produce potentially more energy, 78% in concrete. And this untapped potential is found in Spain, Romania, France, Portugal, Italy, Poland. We have a split here between ground mountain PV, so commercial, industrial, and large solar plants, and rooftop, the ones put in the roof, solar, more small installations, onshore wind, and hydro. So you can see per each country which one has more potential depending on the technology. So what we have put a lot of stress is in preserve, so not without compromising the natural resources in rural areas, and also preserving agriculture. So for this, we have key constraints where we cannot install, we shouldn't install a new solar or wind installation. So we have exclude areas as Natural 2000, diversity and bird areas, peatlands, high natural value farmlands, forests, and water bodies. So with agriculture, we have only used arable lands, mixed crops, or livestock areas if they are at high risk of abandonment, they have very low productivity, and severely eroded areas. So with this only, we are going to use between 2 or 3% of the available land for new renewable resources installation, which this 2% or around 2-3% is going to be fine in rural areas, 80%. So this is the maps. I'm not going to enter into detail. We have produced the potential maps at municipality level for solar, for onshore wind, and for hydropower. And you can see the countries and the municipalities within these countries that has the highest potential in rural areas, in towns and suburbs, but also in cities. Because, for instance, cities are really, urban areas are really important for the development of rooftop PV installations. So finally, my last slide is also putting in value the energy communities. The report has also a chapter on energy communities where they are key elements for rural areas to retain the value of their natural resources and benefit from the green energy transitions. There are different subsections there talking about the benefits of the renewable energy communities, best practices on it, some case studies, what are the main activities, the main drivers, the main challenges of the rural energy communities. And with this, I finish my presentation.
Thank you very much, Karina. And I invite participants to consider this study if it's not already done, because it's a very dense study and very, very interesting to show the linkages between the climate change and the renewable energy production. Thank you very much. And thank you for the Joint Research Center. So now I'm going to give the floor to Solène Gautron, as well from the Joint Research Center, who will present this initiative, the new European Bauhaus that Sylvia and Annie mentioned already in her presentation. So, Solène, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Pascal. I'll be sharing my screen, and in the meantime, thanking the Rural Pact Support Office very much for the invitation and the opportunity to talk a little bit about the European Bauhaus. Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so you might have heard of this young initiative that is the new European Bauhaus, but it's also possible that you're confused about it and that we don't know exactly what we're trying to do. So I will take you back briefly through the creation of the initiative and help you understand what we are, what we hope to achieve, and most importantly, how we can work with you and maybe support some of your projects and ideas. So, okay, let me see if I can, yeah. So what is the new European Bauhaus? It's an initiative that was launched in 2020 by the Commission, and it takes an integrated approach to the green transition. The idea is that, yes, we need technological innovation, we need new energy sources, new forms of regulation to achieve the Green Deal and achieve climate neutrality, as Laura was saying earlier. But that is also not enough. We want our societies to live up to the challenges we face in terms of climate and environmental crisis. And for that, we need a broader change that touches each of us in our daily lives. We need to be bold and imagine together a near future where we use innovation to live better while protecting our planet and our natural ecosystem. So the new European Bauhaus basically says, yes, we need to be more sustainable in the way we move in our cities or villages, in the way we build, in how we consume. But while we're at it, let's also work for more inclusive services, including living spaces, so accessible public spaces, affordable housing, And let's make sure that we're not sacrificing quality, beauty, and a design that really takes care of its users. So we don't want, for example, a low carbon emitting building that is way too expensive or detached from the place it is built in and the people who will use it. So this is why the initiatives is built on 3 intertwined pillars or values that are beautiful, sustainable, and together. So, wait, I have a bit of trouble, but okay. So why do we need the European Bauhaus? The idea is to bring the green transition closer to people and make sure that everyone is part of the change and stimulate hope, creativity, and innovation across Europe in this challenges we face. How we deliver the European Bauhaus? Here it is important to understand that the European Bauhaus is not a program. We do not have a dedicated budget line, and in a way, that's what has made it an innovative and creative initiative within the Commission. So we have many ways in which we try to make a difference, and I go very briefly through some of them. The first thing is that we're working actively with our new European Bauhaus community. There's now more than 1,000 partners across the EU, and from all type of sectors: architecture, education, culture, heritage, forestry, and so on. We work with this community in different ways. One of them is the new European Bauhaus Lab, which is place-based projects that are brought to us by community members or that are led by the European Commission. One of them, I won't go in details, you can find all the information on the website, but I thought this was interesting here, is the Neb Lab of the Mountains. Is just to show you, it's, for example, a group of partners who come together and say, we have specific challenges to face in mountainous region, starting here with South Tyrol in Italy. And okay, how do we come together to find solutions that are really tailored to our situation? We support larger scale projects. We have 6 lighthouse demonstrators. I will not go too much in details there. I think it's also well, more engaging to talk about the new European Bauhaus prizes, which are coming every year. The next edition is actually currently open, and you can vote until the 27th of March for your favorite project. The new European Bauhaus prizes are rewarding innovative and creative ways to achieve a beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive transition. I just give you one example that I think will show you that rural areas are very much fitting into some of the categories we try to highlight with these prizes. This is a winner. We have 2 strands in the prizes. We have a strand for people under 30, rising stars who come with us with concept and ideas, and then we have award for projects that already exist. This is the winner of the Rising Star in 2022. That really is about reviving a village in Italy, and it's about reflecting on how you can adapt these particular types of villages that are seeing the population threatening them, adapt them to new ways of living and so on. So this is the kind of projects that get rewarded through the new European Bauhaus prizes. And again, I invite you to vote because it really gives you also a panorama and a perspective on what kind of projects we are trying to support. Very quickly, we have a lot of support for also local initiative. Villages of the Future is one. It's a conglomerate of 6 villages in Portugal and Spain, trying to come together to fight demographic loss of economic, social, and cultural value, and to achieve the digital and ecological transition. So these are some of the projects we support. I will stop here. Just inviting you to join the European Bauhaus Festival to learn more about all that. It's from the 9th to the 13th of April. It's in Brussels and online. And yeah, it is a bit of a vast and rich initiative, but I think there are many ways in which we try to support projects that maybe you would find interesting or helpful.
Thank you very much, Solène. Thank you for all this diverse list of activities, initiatives within the European Bauhaus. Now we all know more about this initiative, so this is very, very interesting. So we are behind schedule, but okay, it was quite rich. So many thanks for all of your interventions in this first session of setting the scene with different EU initiatives. I'm giving directly the floor to my colleague Julie Degalard, who will moderate the next sessions on learning from inspirational projects and practices.